It takes multiple jobs to produce a test. It's not one person that's putting a test together. It's multiple test developers. It's people trained in fairness. It's editors looking at the questions. The statisticians that are analyzing the tests. So it's a huge process from beginning to end to make a successful test.
Every part of the test creation process is a team effort. The first step usually involves a committee of clients, content experts, and other stakeholders who provide a framework, an outline of the purpose of the assessment, and who and what should be tested. The framework also specifies the formats of the questions, or items as they're often called, as well as whether the test will be offered on paper, computer, or both. Using the framework as a guide, the next step is a blueprint, a detailed specification for every question that will appear on the test. Different forms or versions of the test can be built from the same blueprint.
It's like a little jigsaw puzzle. It's got all these little pieces that every form has to fit. Every test question has a little spot on that blueprint, and we want to be able to replicate that. So it is pretty detailed and pretty descriptive.
The blueprint guides the question writers, most of whom have years of experience teaching the subject being tested.
Typically, I'll come up with a basic idea of what I want to ask, so the question, we call it the STEM, part of the item, and then the correct answer, of course. You have to have one correct answer and only one correct answer. Then the harder part is coming up with distractors, we call them. Answers that the student who doesn't know the material finds attractive for the wrong reason.
The goal is to get accurate information about the test taker's knowledge and skills.
I think that a lot of people, and some teachers even, have this philosophy of, oh, I'm really going to get them with this question. I'm going to make a really tough question that nobody can answer. And that's not our point at all. The point is to write a question that tells us solid information about the students and what they do know.
The question then gets reviewed by other test developers to determine the accuracy of the correct answer and to ensure that none of the distractors could be correct under any plausible interpretation of the question. The reviewers also confirm that the item matches the test blueprint. Every test developer is trained in ETS's fairness guidelines. In addition, specialized fairness reviewers scrutinize each question to be sure that it is free from bias.
If a person has a particular skill, we want to make sure that the test question is testing that particular skill and nothing else. It's not just a matter of not offending anybody. If a test question is unfair, it's not really useful for the person who's taking it or the person who's using that score to make a decision. So it's very important that we make sure that everyone has the same opportunity to show their true knowledge, skills, and abilities.
The next step is the editorial review.
There's actually volumes of guidelines that we have to apply to every item. The item should be as clean and as clear as possible. We're looking for clarity, we're looking for editorial soundness, we're looking for usage. We also look for various things that are program specific, which means that certain programs have phrases and nuances that are specific to that program that have to be applied. So there's a lot of different things that go into editing an item. It sounds really simple, but it can be pretty complicated.
Stakeholders have several opportunities to review the questions before they're included in a test, in addition to all the reviews performed by ETS experts.
No one passes the item through a particular review until they're really happy with the way the item looks, and that's how we get really good multiple reviews.
To see how a new question performs with actual test takers, the next step is pilot testing, followed by a statistical review.
During a pilot test, you have test items administered to small groups of individuals to see how the items are performing in terms of their psychometric properties, their statistical properties, the difficulty, how well it's differentiating between high and low performers, getting a sense if it's performing equally well for different groups. And I might look at things and say, it's not performing as we would like, and I'll make some notes on that and feed that back to the test developers so that they can put that content perspective on why the test item might be performing the way that it is.
A question must meet rigorous standards and pass every review before it can finally appear on an ETS test.
We take every question seriously. We take every test seriously.
That's really our mission, to provide excellent assessments to candidates all over the world.
One of the important goals of ETS is really equity, is to give everyone a fair chance.
That's always my primary motivation, is to make the best item I can so that it's fair for all the students.
It's very satisfying to know that, when a student sits down to take an assessment that I have worked on, that they're getting a good assessment.
We're affecting people's lives, so we have to make sure that what we do is the right thing.